Chapter 1191. Benjamin walked the officers out of the room. Before returning to the room, he ordered the bodyguard, "Please see them off, Peter." Orissa saw him entering the ward and said, "You should head to work. I can stay at the hospital alone." She felt her affairs had burdened Benjamin lately, causing delays in his work. "It's fine, I'll go in the afternoon." Benjamin wanted to wait for the results of her checkup. Otherwise, he would be restless. Half an hour later, Sean came to notify Orissa of a screening. He brought a wheelchair along with him to make it easier for her to travel. "I'll carry you, honey." Benjamin thought it would be uncomfortable to use the wheelchair, so he picked up Orissa, carrying her in his arms. Sean chuckled at the sight and quickly followed after them. Embarrassed, Orissa lowered her head and protested quietly, "The examination room is quite far from here." "You're light as a feather," Benjamin reassured her, dismissing her worries. Sean couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Orissa, it's obvious Benjamin wants to flaunt his strength. Let him be. He isn't afraid of affecting his image, so why would you? Just let him carry you. I'm carrying my wife. Why would it affect my image? Those who don't should be the ones whose image should be affected." Benjamin turned around, glared at Sean, and reprimanded, "Stop following behind us. Go ahead and make the arrangements. Don't make us wait for you." In response, Sean scratched his nose awkwardly and felt slightly aggrieved. Then, he hurried to the examination room. Seeing that, Orissa chuckled. Benjamin's lips curled slightly as he gazed at her beautiful face. "Why are you smiling? All of them are scared of you." Orissa's eyes glinted as she smiled while looking at his chiseled features. Now, he appeared more approachable and wouldn't put a grim face before her. Benjamin scoffed, "They are only pretending to be scared. Lately, they are even teasing me." Chuckling, Orissa said softly, "That's fine, as long as it's nothing serious." "Why are you acting so shy then?" Benjamin shot her a teasing gaze and asked. "I did not," Orissa denied while staring at his shirt buttons. Benjamin tittered at her reaction. Then, Orissa raised her head to shoot him a glare. "Why are you laughing? You don't believe me." Quirking a brow, Benjamin lowered his gaze and saw her slightly displeased. As he was afraid that she would be angry, he quickly comforted her, "I do. I just smiled subconsciously. HMPH. Is that so? I don't see you doing that normally. Clearly, you are laughing at me." Orissa turned her head away. "No, I'm not laughing at you. I'll smile more often from now on." "Okay." Benjamin tried to appease her as he regretted teasing her. It was hard to appease her before, and it got even harder to coax her out of her sour mood now that she was pregnant. Orissa merely pursed her lips while ignoring him. "We've arrived at the examination room. Let's get your checkup." Benjamin carried her in and saw Sean, to whom he glared. "Are you ready?" "Yes, you can put Orissa on the bed." Sean gestured. Hearing that, Benjamin put Orissa on the bed gently for the ultrasound. Sensing the strange looks Benjamin was giving him, Sean was amused. "Do you have a problem with me, Benjamin? You're doing the ultrasound for my wife." Benjamin fixed his piercing gaze on him. Only then did Sean realize Benjamin didn't feel comfortable about the situation. Again, he was rendered speechless and scratched his nose awkwardly. "I'm a professional doctor. To me, there are only patients and corpse. Don't butt in. Get out." Orissa was embarrassed and tried to kick Benjamin out. "Don't be mad, honey. It's bad for the baby." Benjamin suddenly spoke in a gentle tone. To that, Orissa froze and blushed in embarrassment. Meanwhile, Sean turned around and chuckled discreetly. Chapter 1192. "Leave now. Don't disturb my checkup." Orissa urged Benjamin to leave, feeling slightly uncomfortable. In response, Benjamin put on a pity act and looked at her innocently. "I'll keep you accompanied. I swear I won't get in the way." Then, he turned around to look at Sean and said solemnly, "Check on my wife now." At a loss for words, Sean took some ultrasound gel and applied it to Orissa's stomach under Benjamin's scrutiny. When Orissa noticed his gaze, she was rendered speechless. Sean noticed his gaze as well. He then looked away and quickly checked on Orissa. "Is there anything wrong with my wife?" Benjamin stared at the display screen nervously but couldn't tell a thing. Based on the ultrasound, she looks fine. The pregnancy is very stable, Sean concluded after studying carefully. Then, he passed some tissue to Benjamin. Subsequently, Benjamin wiped off the ultrasound gel on her stomach and pulled down her top. "Do we have more tests to do, Mr. Bailey?" Orissa asked Sean. "We have to conduct a blood test and urine test too." Sean packed the equipment while he replied. "Go collect your urine if you have any now." "I don't." Orissa shook her head. With Orissa in his arms, Benjamin decided, "Let's go back to the ward for now. Sean, come and draw her blood later." "Okay," Sean responded. Then, he turned around to get the tools needed to draw Orissa's blood. After returning to the ward, Benjamin placed Orissa on the bed and covered her with the quilt before getting her a glass of water. "More?" he asked after she finished a glass. Orissa bobbed her head and downed another glass of water. Sean came, extracted her blood, and gave her a sampling cup. "Orissa, gather some urine in here. Don't collect the first part of your urine. What we need is your midstream urine sample. Inform me after you're done." "Okay." Seeing Sean's professional look in his white coat, Orissa felt less awkward. "Don't worry, honey, we can take the samples later," Benjamin comforted as he sat by the bed. "I'm not worried." Orissa looked at him with a smile. Then, Benjamin picked up an apple and sliced it to feed her. "Are you sure you don't need to go to the office in the morning, darling?" Benjamin nodded as he continued to feed her apples. After she consumed about half an apple, Benjamin took the plate and peeled some grapes to feed her. Suddenly, Orissa felt the urge to use the bathroom after eating a few grapes. "I need to go to the bathroom now." Orissa sounded a little agitated. Hearing that, Benjamin quickly put away the fruit plate and helped her. "Slow down. I'll carry you in the sampling cup," Orissa reminded. Then, Benjamin leaned over slightly, just enough for her to take the cup. After they entered the bathroom, Benjamin was chased out by Orissa. Worried, he asked, "Are you sure you can do it alone?" "Let me help." "Yes, I can do it myself," Orissa rejected his offer. "Oh, boy, this guy, isn't he afraid it'll get on him?" Albeit being as careful as she could, Orissa still got some urine on her hand. After putting the sampling cup on the side, she quickly wiped her hands. She told Benjamin to enter the bathroom only after she washed her hands. "I'm done." Benjamin opened the door and came in. He then carried her out and covered her with a quilt before returning to the bathroom for the sampling cup. "Have some rest, honey. I'll bring it to Sean." With that, Benjamin left. Orissa was touched, seeing how Benjamin didn't mind at all. "Here's the sample. When will the result be out?" Seeing Benjamin delivering the sample in person, Sean was surprised and said with a smile, "Soon. The results will be out as soon as we run a lab test. We will probably only get the blood test's result in the afternoon. Though, can't it be any faster?" Benjamin furrowed his brows as he couldn't wait to know Orissa's condition. "Stay calm, Benjamin. Orissa's condition is very stable now. She only has to rest well." Sean tried to calm him down, not wanting him to over-worry. Chapter 1193. "I got it. Tell me as soon as the report is out." Benjamin swept a gaze over Sean before he left for the ward. In response, Sean let out a wry chuckle. "Oh, please give me a break." He was suffering from a hangover from yesterday's drinking. Looking at the sample on his desk, Sean shook his head with a smile. He decided he could only yield, so he got up and brought it to the lab. Meanwhile, Orissa was scrolling through Miranda's news in her ward. She read the gossip news as entertainment to kill time since they topped all the websites. Benjamin got curious after seeing how engrossed she was, even failing to notice he had returned. Quietly, he approached her and took her phone. He frowned when he saw the screen. "Why are you looking at this? It'll affect your mood. You need a good rest." Orissa's gaze fell on Benjamin, and she smiled. "I'm just killing time. It won't affect me. Why don't I tell you a story?" Benjamin sat by her side and asked gently while caressing her face. Orissa's eyes widened with surprise. "Really? What story?" Fixing his gaze on her, Benjamin screamed for a story in his head and began narrating. Orissa was baffled when she realized he was telling her a fairy tale. Here I wondered what special story you'll be telling me. So, it's a fairy tale. Our daughter will hear it and be influenced too. Isn't it great? Benjamin was solemn and didn't see a problem. Orissa didn't want to be a killjoy, so she let him continue. Benjamin didn't stop until a nurse came in for an injection. The nurse was stunned when she saw Benjamin telling Orissa a fairy tale. Mr. Graham is so nice to you, Mrs. Graham, the nurse said softly with a hint of jealousy when she gave Orissa the infusion. In response, Orissa smiled and nodded as she looked at Benjamin. I asked him to read me a story since I was bored. She wanted to uphold Benjamin's pride before outsiders. To that, Benjamin shot her a glance filled with tender adoration. The nurse adjusted the infusion speed before she left with her tools. More stories, honey. Benjamin didn't feel awkward and wanted to continue with the story instead. No, thank you. I don't want others to see you doing that since you'll be laughed at. Maybe you should get back to work. Orissa couldn't help laughing when she recalled the nurse's expression from earlier. With a faint grin, Benjamin tucked her in. Why would they laugh at me? They will only be jealous of you. Orissa knew he heard what the nurse said and laughed. Why do you sound so confident saying that? Well, I'm speaking the truth. Benjamin took a grape and peeled it before feeding her. The entire morning, Benjamin stayed by Orissa's side. Darius and Mary dropped by to visit Orissa, but she fell asleep due to the transfusion. The two elders stayed for a while before returning to their respective wards. Mr. Graham, the lawyers said Heather would only receive a 6-month sentence for her case. Ethan reported to Benjamin. Heather only caused a commotion at the company's entrance and didn't damage them significantly. Therefore, a 6-month sentence in prison was more than enough to make her suffer. Okay, Benjamin nodded. Just then, Orissa was awakened. She turned around as she heard noises coming from the door. Benjamin was standing at the door, and there was a bottle of drip left. Benjamin, what is it? Benjamin hurried in. I need to use the bathroom, Orissa said in a rasping voice. She was still half asleep from the injection. I'll carry you. Benjamin lifted the quilt and put a coat over her before he carried her to the bathroom. Ethan helped push the IV drip stand to the bathroom. You can return to the office first. Benjamin came out from the bathroom and instructed. Mr. Graham, are you coming to the office in the afternoon? Ethan asked, wondering if he should send some files to Benjamin. Chapter 1194. Yes, he is. Orissa suddenly shouted after hearing that. Ethan smirked discreetly while looking at Benjamin. Focus on what you're doing. Don't chime in. My decision will be made based on your condition. Benjamin turned his head to the bathroom and gave her a light scolding. However, he was not angry and spoke with a doting tone. Twitching the corner of her lips, Orissa quickly finished her business and shouted, I'm done. To that, Benjamin hurried in and carried her out as Orissa pushed the IV drip stand. When they exited the bathroom, Ethan stepped forward to take it from her and followed them. Get some rest. Benjamin carefully put her on the bed and pulled the quilt to cover her. I want to sit up straight. Orissa looked at him, feeling slightly uncomfortable after lying on the bed for a long time. Giving in to her request, Benjamin bent over to raise her bed. Then, he placed a pillow behind her back. What about this? Just nice, Orissa replied with a smile. Ethan poured a glass of water and handed it to Benjamin. Mrs. Graham, have some warm water. Thank you, Mr. Frank, Orissa said gratefully and offered, why don't you sit down and have some fruits and cookies? After testing the water temperature, Benjamin fed her the water. Orissa finished it obediently and said, I'm done. Just stay here for a bit. I have something to discuss with Ethan outside. Benjamin was worried about her, reluctant to leave her alone. Orissa was amused hearing that. Discuss it here. You're not hiding a secret from me, are you? Pinching her face lightly, Benjamin said in a gentle voice, there's no such thing. I'm only afraid we'll disturb you. No, you won't. Orissa quickly shook her head. She just thought it would be more convenient for them to talk here. Benjamin patted her head and got up to walk to the couch. Ethan tactfully followed him and began to report on other work and Benjamin's schedule in the afternoon. Mr. Graham, tonight, Before Ethan could finish his sentence, Benjamin interjected, "Cancel all the events for tonight." He showed no hesitance at all. Though he had plans to go to work in the afternoon, he had decided to keep his night free for his wife. To him, no events or appointments were more important than his wife. "But it's a banquet organized by the Byron family," Ethan reminded. The Byron family. Orissa was a little surprised. Seeing that Benjamin had been invited and Ethan even reminded him of this banquet showed the Byron family that was mentioned must be no ordinary family. Could it be the Byron family that I'm thinking of? I'll ask Kingsley to go in my place with a gift. Prepare the gift. Benjamin had no interest in this kind of event. If everything were fine, he could have brought Orissa with him. However, he only wanted to stay by her side in case she got bored at the hospital. "Mr. Graham, should I prepare the gift or pick one from your collection in the vault?" Ethan double confirmed, wanting to be sure since the Byron family was not an ordinary family. The status of the Byron family in the political circle was not to be underestimated. Even the most affluent business tycoons had to show them respect and act cautiously before them. "Pick one from the vault," Benjamin said to Ethan. "Understood. I'll do that later." Ethan took note of it. Orissa looked at them in disbelief. "So Benjamin has a vault." She realized Darius seemed to have gotten her a gift from the vault previously. However, she had never seen the vault before. "What are you thinking about?" Without realizing it, Benjamin had already walked up to her. He then gently brushed her nose bridge with his knuckle. Orissa's eyes glinted. "Benjamin, you have a vault." "Yes," he replied instantly. "No wonder you asked me to handle the finances. It turns out you have money stashed away in a vault." Orissa sounded shocked. Benjamin became speechless at that. He touched his nose and declared, "You can handle the vault too." Orissa glanced at him. Why isn't he showing any hesitance? Chapter 1195. Orissa chuckled. She did not expect her innocent question would lead to getting more money. "Am I getting wealthier? Do the children know about this?" she asked hopefully as she looked at Benjamin. Looking at her glittering eyes, his brows twitched. He said flatly, "Gavin knows." "Oh, I guess I can't have it as my secret stash anymore." "Are you hoping that the money could be your secret stash?" Benjamin asked her teasingly as though he could read her mind. Orissa sheepishly grinned. "It's too bad our son already knows about it. You can bribe him. He might help you keep it a secret," Benjamin suggested. Gavin listened to his mother. He would do exactly what was told as long as it came from her. Orissa chuckled. "Let's talk about this another time. I've never seen your vault before." Benjamin smiled and said gently, "If you want to see it, you'd better cooperate in your treatment. I'll take you there once you're fully recovered." "Where is it?" She was curious. "It's at the Graham residence." Benjamin stroked her nose dotingly. Right then, Darius and Mary arrived. Both of them had agreed to visit Orissa together during lunchtime to eat with her. After asking about Orissa's checkups, they asked Benjamin to feed her. He then sat beside her and ate together. Orissa was very touched to have a meal with Benjamin by her hospital bed. "Let's eat together. You still have to go back to the office in the afternoon." "You don't have to feed me. I can do it myself." Benjamin raised his gaze and stared at her. "I haven't decided whether to go to the office in the afternoon." "Have you made the decision for me?" Orissa smiled. "You said so in the morning. I believe what you first said was true. Then didn't you hear about my conditions?" Benjamin looked straight at her. Orissa's big round eyes turned away before looking back at Benjamin, puzzled. "Is there any?" Benjamin was amused. "This woman really knows how to play dumb, right in my face at that." "Don't worry, I'm fine." Orissa felt she was getting better. As long as she stayed in bed, nothing wrong will happen. "Dad and Grandaunt will be accompanying me. Don't worry, so please head back to the office. It's tough that you need to juggle between taking care of me and work. My heart aches when I see you working so hard." Orissa whispered the last sentence softly to Benjamin so that the two elders would not overhear. Benjamin's heart fluttered and had a tingling feeling. He requested, "Say that again." "Say what?" Orissa looked at him with a smile. She served him some more food and said, "Eat more." Benjamin's lips curled up. He was in a good mood. All right. After lunch, Benjamin's brows knitted together. Sean is taking way too long, isn't he? He hasn't given me the report yet. Upon thinking that, he went straight to Sean and caught him digging into his food in the office. Is my wife's report out yet? Sean almost choked. He patted his chest and drank a few sips of water before swallowing his food. He's been pressing me countless times for her report. Benjamin, I had a busy morning. Please let me have a few bites. Sean did not know how to react. Benjamin shot him a glare. The former was determined to know the result. There's no problem with her urinalysis. We're halfway through her blood test, and there hasn't been any issue so far. Sean quickly reported the status as he felt Benjamin's murderous aura. Quack doctor. Benjamin blurted and left. Sean was dumbfounded. HMPH. Why are you still ordering me around if you think I'm useless? However, no matter how much Sean cursed inwardly about Benjamin, Sean never dared to confront the latter. After that, Benjamin returned to the ward. Orissa glanced at him and could feel him fuming with rage. What's wrong? Is something wrong with Jesse? No, it's just that Sean hasn't finished the examination. Benjamin quickly explained himself before she started worrying. Chapter 1196. Orissa was a little amused, thinking that he was being impatient. Don't be anxious. He'll surely tell you right away once the result is out. He won't be able to focus if you keep urging him for it. Benjamin stared at her. Then I shall wait until the report is done. Orissa blinked helplessly. Smiling, she persuaded him, why don't you head back to the office? All you do is wait here, and that's wasting time. Go back and finish up your work, then you can come and accompany me again at night. Moreover, I'm feeling fine. Everyone is at the hospital, so you don't have to worry. Hurry and go back to the office. He looked at the time. It's not time for work yet. I'll head over in a while. Orissa chuckled. Why is Benjamin so adorable all of a sudden? She waved at him and said, come and lean closer. As he leaned forward, Orissa put her hands around his neck and kissed him on the cheek. Benjamin's eyes widened. As she pulled her body away, he stopped her and kissed her back gently. You should kiss like this to show your sincerity. Orissa blushed, and her eyes flickered. Hurry and head back to the office. I'm going to take a nap. All right, have your nap. I'll leave when your IV drip finishes. Benjamin glanced at the infusion bottle. There was not much medication left. Orissa nodded. Without Benjamin asking, she stretched out her hands, and his lips curled up in a smile. He stood up and carried her. Orissa took the drip over from him and went to the restroom. If you want to go to the restroom while I'm away in the office, ask the nurse to assist you. Benjamin reminded her as he was worried about Orissa walking on her own. Orissa nodded in response. All right, I got it. I won't walk. I'll put the wheelchair right over there. After he accompanied her for another half an hour, the drip finally finished. By then, she was already fast asleep and had no idea when Benjamin left. Watch over her. I'm going to the office, Benjamin instructed the bodyguard at the entrance before leaving for the office. He was going to attend a meeting and come back after that. Meanwhile, Sean continued his unfinished work at the laboratory. Suddenly, he had a shocking finding. Initially, he thought he made a mistake in his test and repeated it twice. However, the result was the same. Sean was baffled. He thought he had remembered wrongly and quickly searched for a person's name in the confidential database. The outcome was perplexing. That's fascinating. Why is Orissa's blood type so similar to this person's? This is very rare. Before he could give it any more thought, he was interrupted by his phone ringing. Hello, Benjamin. Sean was a little lost for words. Is my wife's report out yet? If it's not done by now, you can kiss your job goodbye. When Sean heard Benjamin's warning, he shuddered and did not waste any more breath. Yes, it's out, Benjamin. Orissa and the child are okay. I was going to inform you immediately, but you were one step ahead of me and called. Oh, right. Before Sean could finish reporting, the call disconnected. Sean's lips twitched. Forget it. Maybe I'm overthinking it. How can Orissa be related to that person? On the other hand, Benjamin was rushing for his meeting. After the meeting, he met with a few upper management personnel. More than 2 hours had passed by the time he got ready to leave. I wonder if Arissa has woken up or not. He called the bodyguard at the hospital room entrance. Is Mrs. Graham awake? The bodyguard knocked on the door. When there was no response, he gently opened the door and peeked into the room. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham is not awake yet. Okay, I'm going back to the hospital now. Benjamin left his office. Mr. Graham, please wait, Regan shouted when he saw. Benjamin was about to get into the car. Benjamin stopped right when he was about to open the car door. He turned his head slightly toward Regan and looked at Regan with narrowed eyes. Chapter 1197. Benjamin looked elegant and aloof as ever. His presence was so intimidating that one look from him was enough to send a chill down Regan's spine. Mr. Graham, Regan said in a cautious, quivering voice. He was not sure if Benjamin still remembered him. A corner of Benjamin's mouth lifted in a mocking sneer. What? Regan swallowed, choking on the rest of his words. Benjamin was far too domineering. At that moment, impatience flickered in Benjamin's eyes, and he made to leave. Seeing this, Regan quickly said, Mr. Graham, you and my daughter, Issa, are together now, aren't you? How has she been recently? Benjamin appraised Regan with a warning gleam in his eyes. Last I recall, my wife no longer has anything to do with you. Did you forget about that? Stop playing the family card, for it's getting annoying. Regan faltered, feeling awkward. Before he could explain why he had looked for Benjamin today, the latter added grimly, also, tell your wife that if she keeps running her mouth and insulting Arissa, she won't be so lucky as to only be imprisoned. Arissa is upset because of you and your family. You were the ones who wanted nothing to do with her, yet you keep pestering her. How shameless can you get? At this point, Benjamin did not bother mincing his words. He would not stand for anyone picking on Arissa. If anything, he would make sure they suffer the consequences. Mr. Graham, my wife only came here and lashed out at Issa because of a misunderstanding. She only said all those things because she was worried about Mira. As soon as my wife gets out of prison, I'll have her apologize to Issa. We're all family at the end of the day, are we not? Surely you wouldn't be so heartless as to let my wife stay in prison. My wife isn't young anymore, and prison life has taken a toll on her body. You know what, I'll go and smooth things over with Issa myself. Where is she? I'm sure she'll understand once she hears me out. To put matters simply, Regan just could not stand seeing Heather suffer in prison. More importantly, he could not show his face on the streets if word of Heather's imprisonment were to get around. For the sake of her well-being and his reputation, he must try to get her out of prison no matter what. However, Benjamin only scoffed in response. Did you not understand a word I said? I don't care about the reason why your wife decided to lash out at Arissa. Anyone who hurts her will have to pay the price for it. If I were you, I'd tell your wife to steer clear of us. If I ever see or hear her picking on Arissa again, you'd better be prepared to deal with my wrath. There was cold fury in his eyes as he said this. Regan was so frightened that his words died on his lips. Blood drained from his face, and he immediately changed his mind about pleading his case with Benjamin. Benjamin gave the man one final shrewd look, then opened the car door, started the car, and drove away. Regan swayed as the tension left his body, and he staggered to regain his footing. He had forgotten just how terrifying Benjamin was. Benjamin had set up his own business at a young age. He was as decisive as he was ruthless, driven by a certain bloodlust. This was a man who had never been on the losing side. He was a formidable figure in Delmore, and no one in their right mind would dare rub him in the wrong way. In fact, those who offended him had all met terrible ends. As things were, Regan and his family were better off leaving Benjamin alone. However, at the thought of Heather still in prison, Regan could not help but frown. He would have to come up with another plan to get her out of there. Benjamin had outright refused to help him, and Arissa had cut off contact with him completely. At this point, Heather could very well end up serving her full sentence in prison. The best thing Regan could do for her now was to make sure she was comfortable behind bars. He had already warned Heather, but she stubbornly refused to heed his words. Now that she was in prison, Regan thought it might be the perfect opportunity for her to reflect on her behavior. Perhaps then she would stop making so much trouble for him. As of now, Regan and his family had definitely gotten on Benjamin's bad side. Later that day, Regan went back to the York residence and was immediately greeted by the sound of crying and shouting coming from upstairs, followed by the sound of glass shattering. A grim look passed over his face. He hurried upstairs and saw the help hidden around the landing, none of them daring to approach or enter Miranda's bedroom. She was apparently hurling random objects out into the corridor, and a mess had piled up outside her bedroom door. "Mr. York," one of the help greeted frantically. "Still throwing a fit, I see," Regan remarked gravely. "Why can't these people just give me a break?" The help exchanged a look among themselves and did not say anything. Regan steeled himself and approached the bedroom. At that moment, a glass flew out of the open door and nearly hit him in the face. He dodged in time and glared at Miranda. Right now, she looked nothing like a prim and proper young lady. She was grimacing, and her hair was in a mess. She looked like a maniac. "Are you done?" Chapter 1198. Miranda jumped at her father's voice. When she turned and met his furious gaze, tears of resentment welled up in her eyes. She shrieked, "I am not done. All of you have been waiting to see me humiliated. Are you happy now? This is all Larissa's fault. I won't let that bitch get away with this." Regan's eyes turned cold. Without another word, he raised his hand and slapped Miranda across the face. His hand was trembling from the force of it. "This is your own doing. Don't blame Issa when you were the one who schemed and messed around," he barked. "It's all her fault, Dad. How could you speak up for her? I was raped because of her. I can't believe you'd defend her after what she did to me. Mark my words, I will not let her get away with this. I wouldn't have ended up like this if it weren't for her." Miranda snarled, her eyes bugging. She looked like a lunatic. Regan was too tired to try and talk sense into her, so he tossed his phone at her, saying, "Go ahead and watch the security footage if you don't believe me. I told you, what happened to you had nothing to do with Issa. I don't have the time or energy to argue with you about this. For the time being, stay at home and don't make a fool out of yourself outside. For heaven's sake, why can't you and your mother just give me a break? How am I supposed to show my face outside after this?" It was clear from the tone of his voice that he was exasperated and furious. Having said all this, he stormed out of the room with a thunderous expression. Miranda took the phone Regan had tossed onto the floor and watched the security footage. When she saw who had taken her to the hotel on the night she was assaulted, she trembled with rage and screeched hysterically, "That bitch." Meanwhile, following his unpleasant exchange with Regan, Benjamin went straight to the kids' school to pick them up. As soon as the kids saw their father at the gates, their faces brightened up. "Daddy, Mr. Graham." The kids bounded up to him with their backpacks slung over their shoulders. Benjamin softened at the sight of them. They looked like perfect little cherubs. He crouched down to rub their heads in affectionate greeting. "Come on, get in the car. We'll go see your mommy at the hospital." The kids were delighted to hear this. They erupted into cheers as they climbed into the vehicle. Benjamin waited until they had all settled into the back seat before closing the door. Then, he slid into the driver's seat, started the car, and drove in the hospital's direction. "Daddy, did you go to work today? Did you come straight from the office?" Gavin asked curiously, grinning as he eyed Benjamin's suit. Benjamin glanced at the children through the rearview mirror, then answered softly, "Yes, I had a meeting in the afternoon and it wrapped up just before school ended. I figured I'd come and pick you up." Jessie piped up, "So, Mommy's been on her own at the hospital. Wouldn't she be lonely?" Hearing the concern in her voice, Benjamin smiled and explained patiently, "I waited until she fell asleep before going to the office. Besides, your grandfather and great-grandaunt are at the hospital, too. They can keep her company." Jess's eyes lit up as she beamed and flashed her dimples. Zachary looked at Benjamin and asked, "Say, Mr. Graham, did Mommy kick you out of the hospital and make you go to work?" Benjamin's lips twitched. This kid's got good intuition. Jasper and Oliver snickered, and they could not resist teasing their father over this. You don't suppose Mommy got sick of you? Why would she? Benjamin countered wryly. Danny chuckled in amusement. He glanced at Benjamin, then at his own siblings. Daddy, is Mommy feeling better? Gavin asked. He looked at Benjamin, then turned his attention back on the view outside the window, his gaze locked on the restaurants they drove by. She's much better now, but she'll have to stay at the hospital for a while longer. Be sure to keep your voice down when you visit her. What she needs now is peace and quiet, Benjamin reminded. He did not want the children to pester Orissa while she was trying to rest. Got it, the kids answered in unison. They had missed Orissa a whole lot since she was hospitalized. Just then, Gavin spotted the food joint that he had been looking out for and quickly said, Daddy, there's a really good patisserie up ahead. Could you stop the car? Benjamin glanced in the direction Gavin was pointing at. Seeing that the patisserie had the kind of pastries Orissa liked, he pulled up by the curb. I'll buy some of the pastries. Wait for me in the car, kids. With that, Benjamin got out of the car and headed into the patisserie. Chapter 1199. The 6 children eagerly waited in the car, pressing their faces against the window to watch Benjamin's every move. There was no long queue at the patisserie, and Benjamin swiftly bought some pastries. As soon as he got into the car, he noticed the children's eager gazes fixated on the food in his hands. A warm smile filled Benjamin's eyes as he kept one portion aside and handed the remaining pastries to the children sitting behind him. This is yours. Share it among yourselves. The 6 children's faces lit up with happiness. Gavin accepted the pastries and began sharing them with his younger siblings. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Benjamin shook his head and couldn't help but wonder when the other children would start calling him Daddy as well. While enjoying their meal, the children noticed the portion that had been set aside for Orissa. Zachary couldn't resist teasing Benjamin about it. Mr. Graham, are you playing favorites here? There are so many of us, and yet you've only given us such a small amount of food. Meanwhile, you've set aside so much for Mommy. Jasper nodded and agreed with his brother. Absolutely right. We've got 6 hungry mouths to feed, so this little amount won't do. Benjamin was amused. He glanced at the children's ravenous faces and replied while starting the car. You guys have such small stomachs. Are you sure you'll still have room for dinner after eating so much now? Meanwhile, your mommy is eating not just for herself but also for the baby in her belly. She needs to eat more. The 6 children were rendered speechless by his reply. When they arrived at the hospital, the 6 children immediately dashed inside to look for Orissa. Benjamin was left momentarily behind. Benjamin took the things and followed behind the children. Mommy. The children rushed into the ward and were delighted to see Darius and Mary there. They greeted them politely. Hello, Grandpa. Hello, Great-Grandaunt. The 2 elders smiled and looked at them lovingly. Sweethearts, you're done with school. The children nodded joyfully, rushing over to Orissa and enveloping her in a group hug. They exclaimed in unison, Mommy. You're here. Orissa was happy to see them. She embraced each of them, gently stroking their heads and showering them with affection. Who brought you here? She asked. Mommy, Daddy brought us here, Gavin said, his eyes fixed on Orissa. Mommy, we missed you so much. Do you miss us too? Of course, I do. She reached out and playfully pinched Gavin's cheek, then turned to Danny and gave his cheek a gentle pinch as well. Her iridescent eyes crinkled into a smile as she looked at the rest of the children. Are you all doing well in school? Absolutely, Mommy. We all behave well in our classes, Danny replied with a serious expression on his face. Orissa smiled, fully trusting Danny's words. Then, she spent a delightful time playing and bonding with them. Benjamin entered the room and was met with the heartwarming scene of the 7 of them embracing each other. He furrowed his brows and intervened. All right, kids, give your mommy some space to rest. Step aside, please. The 6 children stuck out their tongues, and Jasper whispered under his breath, we just got here. How could we possibly disturb Mommy? Huh. Benjamin glanced over, and Jasper shrank his neck. Mommy, we bought you some pastries. You should eat it while it's still warm. It won't taste as good when it gets cold, Oliver reminded her, holding Orissa's hand tenderly. Mommy, Mr. Graham is being biased toward you. He's giving you the biggest portion while we only got the smaller portion, Jessie said in a soft voice, her black eyes sparkling. She looked adorable. Orissa smiled and glanced at Benjamin. Benjamin didn't know what to reply to that. He was the one who bought the food, yet the children were taking all the credit. Eat it while it's still warm. He brought over the food, opened it for Orissa, and served some to Darius and Mary. You two have some too. Thank you. Mary nodded affectionately. She gestured for Darius to join her before she took a piece and began eating. Mommy, eat. Danny picked up a piece of food and gently fed it to Orissa. Thank you, sweetheart. Orissa happily took the food from Danny, savoring each bite. Benjamin poured a glass of water and placed it on the cabinet, feeling a little jealous as he watched Orissa enjoy the food. Do you believe everything the kids say? Chapter 1200. Orissa looked at Benjamin with a puzzled expression. What does he mean? Does he mean that I believe everything the kids say? Meeting her baffled gaze, Benjamin sighed softly and clarified, I'm the one who bought the food. Orissa paused for a moment before she burst out laughing, playfully teasing him. I thought you were referring to something else. I don't really care who bought the food. Benjamin snorted softly and then sat beside her. His gaze was fixated on her. Thank you for the pastries, Mr. Graham. Orissa looked at him with a smile. This man really needs to have a bigger heart. Eat slowly. Benjamin felt somewhat better after hearing what Orissa said. He moved closer and wanted to feed Orissa, but the latter waved him off and insisted on eating by herself. Would you like to have some too? Benjamin shook his head. He noticed a smudge of sauce at the corner of Orissa's mouth and he took a tissue to wipe it off. The 6 children fixed their gaze on Orissa, occasionally licking their lips and swallowing their saliva in anticipation. Orissa noticed their longing gazes and smiled. Sweethearts, come and join me too. Mommy, we've already eaten. This is all for you. Jessie shook her head. She didn't want to take any of her mother's food. Orissa smiled and caressed Jess's head before she cooed, it's all right. I can't eat that much. Each of you come and take some for yourselves. We'll have dinner together later. The 6 children exchanged glances with each other before their eyes shifted toward Benjamin, seeking his approval. Orissa couldn't help but burst into laughter at their hilarious gesture. What are you looking at your daddy for? I told you to eat. Come and eat quickly. She distributed a small piece of pastry to each of the children. The children's faces instantly lit up with joy. They leaned in and planted kisses on her cheeks before happily running over to Darius and Mary. Thank you, Mommy. Orissa's smile grew wider. She felt content just by looking at them. Benjamin was captivated by the radiant glow on Orissa's face. His gaze lingered on her, and a smile played on his lips. Orissa turned her head as she felt his intense gaze on her. Her heart skipped a beat as she locked eyes with Benjamin. Why have you been gazing at me so intently? She asked softly. Benjamin's eyes shimmered with a mischievous glint. His thin lips curved into a subtle smile, and his voice carried a gentle tone. To watch you eat. Orissa blushed, feeling a little embarrassed. Then, she lowered her head and continued eating. Benjamin saw the faint blush that adorned her face. The corners of his mouth curved even deeper. When Orissa heard his chuckle, she got annoyed and glared at him. Her eyebrows gracefully arched, adding an enchanting allure to her already captivating beauty. Benjamin's hand gently caressed her face. If it weren't for the presence of everyone around them, he would have leaned in and kissed her. Orissa's heart raced as she met his passionate gaze, and her cheeks flushed even deeper. She turned her head slightly, evading his touch, and spoke in a soft voice, "What are you up to?" Benjamin smiled. He was usually quite reserved, and this rare sight instantly enchanted anyone who had the privilege of witnessing it. Orissa's heart fluttered as she felt her soul drawn toward him. Benjamin playfully pinched her cheek once more before retracting his hand. The children sat and ate with the elders. They eagerly shared stories about their school and their time at the Watts residence, bringing smiles to the faces of Darius and Mary as they listened intently. When it was time for dinner, Ethan got a dining table from somewhere and asked everyone to gather around. Ethan and Sean also joined them at the table. The 6 children encircled Orissa, diligently serving her food. "Mommy, please eat more. We want you to get better soon." This is delicious. Mommy, please eat more. Thank you, sweethearts. Orissa was very pleased. Please, help yourselves to more food. My plate is already full, so you can save the rest for yourselves. Sean teased Orissa. I envy you, Orissa. The kids adore you so much. They don't even serve us food. Orissa was beaming with joy. She looked at them with a smile, saying, I'm their mommy, after all. It's only natural for them to care for me. Boss is their father, but I don't see them serving him, Sean said while glancing at Benjamin. Orissa turned to look at Benjamin. Well, nobody asks him to be so serious all the time. Benjamin couldn't come up with a retort.